Hola, me llamo Francisco. Voy a ser el profesor de español de hoy y hoy vamos a aprender el participio pasado. So today we're going to talk about what we call the past participle. Now the past participle talks about the past but doesn't show the doer of that action. For example, we can say done, worked, but we're not showing the doer of that action. Then we use the past participle to form what we call the present and the past perfect tenses. The present and the past perfect tenses, but also when forming what we call the passive voice. We call it la voz pasiva, the passive voice. So this is very important because talking about the present, talking about the past is a skill that we need to master. And then let's talk about the formation. So how do we form the past participle? So as you know from the previous lessons that we've had, when forming a tense, you must understand its regular and irregular verbs. So let's start with formation of the ones that are regular. So we call them los verbos regulares. Los verbos regulares. Let's have the endings. So we know that we have from the previous lessons AR verbs, ER, and then the IR verbs. So for the AR, because we say that this is not showing the job, that action, we're only going to have one ending. For AR, we have ATHO. For these two, they are sharing the same ending, that AR, IR, we have ETHO. Then when doing the conjugation, it is just the same process that we'll be doing. For example, given a verb like cantar, which is to sing. So what do you do with cantar? So you go to the verb, drop the last two letters, remain with what we've been calling the stem, and then add what? The respective ending, which is the AR ending. So what do I have? I have cantado. In this case, the meaning is sang. Who sang? We don't know. Let's have a verb that ends with ER, like comer. This is very important and very common. So you do the same. Drop the last two letters, remain with your stem, which is com, having known that this is to eat. So you go to the ER and IR ending, which is etho, and add it there. Your outcome is comitho, which in English translates to eaten. So in this case, we're not showing the person who is doing the action. So that's how we form the regular verbs, the past participle from regular verbs. Now, when talking about the ones that are irregular, you need to master them one by one because it's a process. For example, we have escribir. So we know that these are irregular verbs. So we have escribir, which we translate to write, which will translate to write. So I'm going to have escrito. You notice that I'm not doing what I was doing on this side because these ones are irregular. And from the previous knowledge, the previous lessons, we had said that we use the so-called fixed pattern for the regular ones, a fixed pattern, but for the regulars, they don't follow a fixed pattern. That's why you see this one changing to escrito. In this case, do not translate this as wrote or but written. Wrote but written. You have many like hecho from hacer. So we have dicho from decir. I know you know the verb now up to this point. We have escrito, visto from the verb ver, which is to say. We have vuelto from to return, which is volver. So basically, this is how we do it. So once you've mastered these ones, you need to also master their meanings and also think of the next thing, which is now forming what we call the perfect tense. So the perfect tense is very important in that it is going to talk about what has happened not long time ago or what has not happened. So what you need? You need the knowledge of the past participles and a verb that we call haber. So haber is an auxiliary verb that means to have. Remember, we have tener that means to have. So this one does not show the do of that action. It doesn't show to possess or to have something. It is used an auxiliary verb to form other tenses. So this one changes like this. We have a, as, a, we have amos, a base, and we have an. So I'm going to say a to mean I have, as to mean you have, you alone, then a is he or she or it has. Then we have amos, which is we have, a base, which is you have when you are many, an accent on e, and the last one is an, which is they have. Remember, don't use this one to show any possessive form. It is used to form other tenses. Now, when you want to form the perfect tense, I said that, remember the past participles. For example, let's use hablar, which is to speak. So what am I going to do? I'm going to know the meaning first, which is to speak, and then the next thing is copy this one, the 6 of them, a, as, a, amos, a, base, and just below the verb. So you're going to have what? A, as, a, amos, a, base, and. The next step is adding the past participle. So from the knowledge of the past participles, we know that for hablar, we're going to have hablado. Hablado. So we're going to have a hablado, which is I have spoken. As hablado, you have spoken, you alone. And then a hablado, which is he or she has spoken. Hemos hablado is we have spoken. Habéis hablado is you in plural, you have spoken. And han hablado is they have spoken. So basically, that is what you do with the other verbs. Just get the haber, write it below your verb, and then get the right past participle. Reciprocate the same downwards, and then you will have formed what we call the perfect tense. Someone can ask you a question like ¿Qué has hecho? We know that hecho means done or made. Someone can ask you ¿Qué has hecho? ¿Qué has hecho? What have you done? Then you can say no he hecho nada. No he hecho nada. ¿Con quién has hablado? ¿Con quién has hablado? So with whom have you spoken? You can say he hablado con mi profesor. He hablado con mi profesor. I have spoken with my teacher, or I've talked to my teacher. So that's how you use the past participle and the present perfect tense, which is very common when talking about what has taken place not long ago. So muchas gracias y chao.